More than 3 days after the reported attack and the subsequent overrun of a military base in Yobe State in northeast Nigeria, the High Command of the Nigerian military is yet to comment about the attack and has continued to maintain an unusual silence. Earlier reports revealed that soldiers and many terrorists were killed while several operational assets were destroyed during the deadly attack on a military base in Bunigeri village in Yobe State. While the attack followed heavy gunfire and explosions, with the attackers reportedly overwhelming the base, leading to widespread destruction. While the Nigerian army had posted on its official X handle on Saturday that it was currently locked in a fight against insurgents of the Islamic State West Africa province, otherwise known as ISWAP. No update has been provided to the Nigerian public on the situation or the casualty levels. Confirmed 72 hours after the attack. That's talking about the casualty levels now. Now, the Defense Media Operations, which speaks for the Defense Headquarters, has since remained silent on the incident. Joining me now for more on the worsening insecurity in Nigeria and especially in the northeast is retired Wing Commander and security expert Musa Salmanu. Thank you very much for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you so much for having me.
I wonder how troubling these unfolding events, have been the last couple of weeks or months. As a matter of fact, since this year, if you're to look at the timeline, since January of this year up until April and now, these attacks have been consistent. And there seems to be a trend where hunters and military formations are the target. What do you think is playing out here? Is this an attempt to instill maximum fear in the populations, or what exactly is it to weaken the fight against insurgency?
Well, the first thing is that it's troubling, of course, if there are incidences of attacks, and especially if they are escalating. Mm-hmm. We had a period where these numbers had actually gone down, and especially in most of the theaters, but particularly in the northeast, there was almost a time of calm and so on. So the resurgence is a situation that is very worrisome. But this is not unusual in this type of warfare, whereby you have cycles. You have whereby you have taken the fight and degraded to a large extent the capacity of the insurgents, or by whatever name they call themselves, to wreak havoc or to kind of attack. But then what happens in all this is that there is a kind of relaxation, both by communities, by security forces, and this gives them the opportunity to regroup. Because that feeling of security, we're secure, that perception that they've been chased out, but it gives them the opportunity now to regroup elsewhere and learning from the mistakes, if I would say, and kind of look at the loopholes. Because every day they are studying, every day they are determined to get back. They're looking at where the loopholes are, and therefore it's so easy for them to observe and launch these attacks. So what happened is that this lull period enabled them to get rearm, reinforced in terms of logistics. Again, kind of their own intelligence network to kind of get back. And therefore, when they come back, usually they have lessons learned, and the attacks are more ferocious, they are more deadly, because terrorism as a tactic is to instill maximum fear.
Right.
The targets are deliberately chosen, and the whole idea is to send the message that the state cannot defend you. And so that's why perhaps the targets are usually those instruments that ordinarily will give the citizens that semblance of security.
Right.
So if it's the local communities, because we've had situations whereby community-based efforts are made. That's through either vigilante or through hunters or by whatever name they are, because there are so many names. But the whole idea is that it's community effort towards protection. So the first thing they do is to hit at that to instill that fear that nobody can stop them.
So where does that leave communities when you hear state governors and top, personalities actually say to the communities, protect yourselves, whatever you can do, to band together? I mean, where does this leave them? So where does this leave communities? Sometimes
there's a limit, there's a thin line between what communities can do themselves and what the state has to do as the person or the entity that has the monopoly of violence, in a sane situation or in a normal situation. So like in Nigeria, for example, you have the level of arms that a community can bear. Right. What the report that you were saying, one of the person from the respondents in Adamawa said that they exhausted their ammunitions. Then the terrorists, took advantage of that, which means and in all, when you read, you find out these hunters mostly they are den guns that they use. They are not military grade.
They're not sophisticated weapons.
They're not, yes.
But now again, when you hear that, I mean, these terrorists, the Lakurawa, whatever they're called, actually ransacked the armory of the military, where they killed four soldiers. And that's in addition to the over 22 or so that have already been killed in 2025 alone. Now they're going after military formations, destroying sophisticated equipment, ransacking the armory and all of that. I mean...
So number is key in everything in terms of insecurity situations like this.
In terms of men or equipment?
No, all. So equipment, you can have many equipments. This type of warfare, what multiplier effect that it has is by numbers. It's not necessarily the sophistication of your weapon. All you need is a certain level of sophistication, then it's fine. You compensate the rest with number.
Right.
Now, if you hear that they come in bikes, they come large, so if you, just a scenario, you have a formation that is out there, maybe a forward operation base of a particular number of troops, and they know that if they cut them off from the main body, that it will take time before reinforcement comes. So what they need to do is, or what they do usually, is to come in large numbers so that they can hardly be repelled. I mean,
But isn't this where technology comes in? There's been a lot of argument about the need to deploy drones.
Yes.
And MRAP, UAVs and what have you.
Technology plays a major role as a force multiplier. Technology, however, does not replace number. So technology can tell you this is where they are. The technology can maybe even hit them. Technology can make them disperse and so on and so forth. But you find out that they know, because they have also studied the technology to a large extent, or the pattern, they know that there's a strike, then it disperses them. There are time, they regroup because they know that this is their target. And these terrorists
are using drones too, which it looks like they're ahead of the military.
Yeah, the technology is out there for everyone. I mean, you could get, of course, there are military-grade technology, but there are, technologies that could be if you can make use of rudiment technology to ensure, like this vehicle improvised explosive devices and so on, and body and so on. These were things that in the past were for military grade exercises. But these are things that they are able to couple now and make use. All that technology, if they're able to get something that can carry some level of explosives, then it becomes technology that they can use. So technology, to a large extent, multiplies, is a force multiplier. It's not the only thing that can solve this. We need numbers. So we need numbers and the technology.
Right.
So that when technology, and then in terms of logistics, so that when you have a forward operating base or a unit that is away, you are able to resupply and reinforce in time before there's havoc that's created on that.
Governor Zulum says, look, take the battle to the terrorists in Lake Chad, in Mandara Hills, near Sambisa Forest. Is that what seems to be missing? Is our military forces, are they being more reactionary than being proactive? Is that what is missing in this war? And can it really remain a kinetic approach?
So two things: you don't win a battle by being in the defensive.
Right.
It's only offensive action that wins a battle, or that at least degrades the enemy. So yes, the truth is that there are a lot of offensive action that is going on, but a lot of efforts have to be added. The use of air power, which is, air power locally has the flexibility, it has the reach, it has the firepower to ensure that these are degraded. So firepower needs to be intensified. There needs to be that, the offensive action. But also, just like you rightly said, kinetic means alone cannot solve this problem.
Yeah.
We have to also look, as we're doing, of course, by no means or by all means, we have to intensify the kinetic action or the firepower that is used. But alongside, we have to also look at other drivers of this. We have to look at the underlying factors.
What are the fundamental drivers?
For years, since 2009 till date, we have known that, for example, there has been studies that have shown that this is one of the few climate wars that is happening. What do I mean? The drying of the Lake Chad is a major cause of that. But there are the other issues that come in terms of the grievances that are people having. There's issue of feeling left out.
I was speaking to a general before we came on, and he said, look, the fundamental thing, this is a socio-economic issue that has, snowballed into ideological, that's taken up, an ideological character. So where do you begin to unpack this in a way that you can actually solve the problem? We had Northeast governors, sit down to discuss the security situation in the region, and just barely 2 days after that, these attacks happened. So is government even taking it seriously?
When there's this intensity or magnitude of problems or magnitude of violence going on, what you have to do is to scale up everything. Scale, what do I mean by scale? Yes, so you scale up the kind of firepower that's in terms of ramp up the number of troops or boots on ground, whether they are military or they are police and so on and so forth. Just scale the number up, because number is key. You need people or boots physically on the ground. While you're doing that also, you're rolling other will I call them palliatives, or you call other programs that look at also other socio-economic issues in terms of provision of some of these facilities and so on and so forth. Now there's the argument that if you provide them early enough, so sequencing and timing is key. Because if you provide them early enough, when they have not been degraded enough, they are going to burn them, they are going to destroy them, so you're back to square one. However, as you're doing that, you're clearing, you're also ensuring that there is civilian authority, there is normalcy, some level of normalcy in terms. Look, I was in one of these locations a long time ago, and if you ask parents, I personally asked a woman that what is there when there were these returns about IDPs and the rest. And you ask that what is their major problem or concern. You would think that it's an issue of we're afraid of dying or something. No. She was saying that we don't have schools, we don't have hospitals, or those are the things that we look forward to returning to. Hospital, those things that everybody looks forward to. I tell you, once there is the military or the firepower or the kinetic means, if it is not followed immediately by non-kinetic approach or measures, I tell you, we still go back, because that means that stream where recruitment is, that other issues that are still there, underlying factors, if they are not resolved, it will be a cycle of violence. Cycle.
I have to leave it there. Retired Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, thank you very much, security expert, joining us on Newsnight.